Hi, it's Franny, the dietitian, here again with some interesting facts about what we can do with leftovers that we have for Thanksgiving. This is the month of October, almost the end, so we're getting into that month of November when we start planning. What am I having for Thanksgiving? Where am I going for Thanksgiving? And what am I going to do if I have leftovers? And it doesn't matter if they're the leftovers you have from home, or maybe wherever you're going for dinner, they give you stuff to take home. I just want to give you some ideas of what we can do with them. In my house, when I have a dinner, I always start with an hors d'oeuvre or an appetizer. And today I thought one of the great appetizers we could do is to work with a deviled egg. A lot of folks make deviled eggs. They like deviled eggs. So what do we do with it? We're going to take it, we're going to put it in a bowl, the yellow yolk and all, and we're going to dice that up. And when we do, we'll have the white, we'll have the yellow, and we're going to make a nice spread. You can put it on bread. It's like making egg salad without adding all the other stuff, but we're going to add some other stuff. Because what I want to do for you is I want to make sure that we kick this up some. Now, what I did earlier was I took some deviled eggs that I had. I chopped the whites up. They're all in here. And so is the yolk. And you just take the yolk, the whites, and all, and just put it into a bowl. Now, what do we need to do? Number one, we need to add color. So, how about some shaved carrots? We'll put that in. And by the way, I'm not using a blue hat and I'm not using gloves because none of this is going to be eaten. So, you don't have to worry that I'm going to poison anybody. Okay, so we put the shaved carrots in. Now, we need some other colors. What about some nice green pepper? Finely diced. I've got some yellow pepper. You'll find I'm a fan of peppers. I think they're great. How about some red pepper? Now, depending on what your family likes, will depend on what you use. Maybe your family likes red peppers and they don't like green and yellow. Fine. Use what they like because they're the people you have to please. And above all else, celery. It gives that great crunch. And a lot of people say it adds more salt. Well, really it doesn't. But it's a great thing to have because there's so much crunch and it satisfies that flavor thing that we need. And that chewing. Okay. Now, you saw the beginning with just the plain deviled eggs chopped up. Now we look at it and we say, wow, that looks pretty good. It's colorful. What have I done to a plain deviled egg? What I've done is I've added vegetables to it. We've made it into something we could spread on a whole grain cracker, whether it be a reduced fat Triscuit, whether it be a whole grain wheat thin, any of those work really well. We could put it on bread. We could put it on toast. You can put it on anything to make a nice treat. And you know, if you want kids to eat stuff, what you might want to do is do something fancy like make a slice of toast, spread your kicked up deviled egg salad on there, cut it into 4, give each one a quarter. They might eat it that way. Okay? All right, that's what we'll do with deviled eggs. Say you have shrimp cocktail. Well, you could do one of two things. We're going to make a stir fry. You could buy the frozen stir-fried vegetables and stir-fry them. Or you could take some of the veggies you have left over from your veggie platter from Thanksgiving, dice and slice them up, put them in your wok, and get them stir-fried. Take the shrimp you had from the shrimp cocktail, dice it up, and when your veggies are ready, toss it in. It doesn't need cooked, it just needs warmed. Serve that over whole grain brown rice. Another great way of adding a whole grain, kicking up that shrimp cocktail that you had. Okay, we've done that. Now, what do we do about the main course? What do you do with the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, the corn? If you use green beans or green bean casserole, I found this great recipe years ago. And what it did was it took all those ingredients and layered them in a casserole. And all you need to do is either microwave them or heat it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes. You start on the very bottom with a little bit of gravy. Then you put your stuffing. Then you put your turkey. Well, and then you put your corn. In between that, you want to put mashed potatoes. And then you could put your green bean casserole on top or whatever other vegetable you had. If you want, you can top it with a little bit of grated cheese, and you've got all those leftovers in one really great, beautiful looking dish. Make some Jell-O to have with it. Got a great meal going for you. Okay, Another thing we can do with turkey is we can make what I call a kicked up Waldorf salad. Waldorf salad is basically apples, celery, mayonnaise, and walnuts. Now, I'm sorry, the walnuts I forgot at home in my refrigerator that I chopped up, but we're going to pretend they're here because they add so much to it. But right now, I'm taking my diced apples, I put them in a bowl, and also, too, the apples, I just put a little bit of lemon juice on them because I wanted to keep them and retard that enzymatic browning. This is celery that's chopped up. If you notice what I did with the egg salad, I diced my things in a small dice. For the Waldorf salad, I made it a little bigger dice because it's something you're going to want to be able to fork. Okay, what do? We're going to have mayonnaise. But what do we do with that leftover cranberry sauce? Look, it sits in a container in the refrigerator, and then sometimes it gets kind of yucky. Maybe gets a little bit slimy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this cranberry sauce and we're going to whisk it in with this mayonnaise. And what we'll do is we're going to make like a cranberry mayo to put on our Waldorf salad. So if you give me a minute here, I'm going to incorporate this into here. Now, if I was at home and I had a bigger bowl, which I'm sorry I didn't bring enough of them, I would use the whisk I brought and whisk this until it's totally incorporated. And you know what? I'm going to do that right now because I can use this baggie to put my cheese on. Cheese is going to be for another thing here. Now, depending on how much cranberry sauce you have will depend on how much mayo you're going to need to use. But we're actually making a cranberry mayonnaise, and cranberries and apples go really well together. Doesn't matter if it's whole cranberry sauce or the smooth one. Either one's fine. Okay. We're going to take it. We're going to put it into our Waldorf salad, or the beginnings of our Waldorf salad, and we're going to stir this around. Now, how do I make this a complete meal? Well, I've got nuts for the omega-3s. I've got celery for crunch. I've got an apple in here, or multiple apples. And now what you can do is, you can take this and add diced up turkey to it. When you do that, now you almost have a complete meal. But we're missing something. We're missing a whole grain. So why not cook some whole grain pasta? Put that in. If you want to make it even better, get some leaf lettuce. Take that leaf of lettuce and lay this beautiful salad out on that. Could we add some dairy to it? You bet. We're going to use those cheese cubes. We can take those cheese cubes and either put it in or we could put it on top. But you have a nice cold plate. It's a complete meal. It has your whole grain pasta. It has your turkey. You've got some fat from the mayo. You've got the cranberry sauce and the apples, which are both from the fruit family. We have the celery, and you could add as much celery or whatever as you want. And we've got some cheese from the dairy group. Hope you enjoy that. I love it. I think it's great. Cranberry mayo is a great way to add a little kick to the mayonnaise. Okay. Now, what do we do with the leftover salad that you put an oil and vinegar dressing on? Oh, after a while it starts to really look wimpy and ugly, and it's like, whoa, nobody's going to eat this. Well, drain the dressing from it. Put all of that salad into a blender or food processor, process it, and then add some either low-sodium V8 or low-sodium tomato juice, and you make a quick gazpacho. You don't have all the lumps, bumps, and chunks in it, but hey, it'll work, and it's tasty. A lot of us aren't used to a cold soup, so you don't have to serve it ice cold. You could just let it come a little bit to room temperature and then serve it. Okay. So that takes care of our salad, takes care of our turkey, takes care of the hors d'oeuvres we used. Mashed potatoes. Everybody likes mashed potatoes, but how many of us like leftover mashed potatoes? Well, once they're not too bad. Twice, they can handle it. Third time, no way. They're not looking at them. Well, take them and just take your mashed potatoes, form them into patties, put them in some breadcrumbs. You don't even have to use an egg wash. Put them in some breadcrumbs, and you can with a Teflon skillet and just a little bit of olive oil, you can heat those babies and make a nice crust on it. Looks like a completely different potato. Or Ida right now is using potatoes as a way of like food currency at the table when kids don't want to eat. Use the potato cake as some food currency for you. Okay, last but not least, what's the big thing at Thanksgiving? Well, it's pumpkin pie. We all love pumpkin pie. Well, at least most of us do. But a lot of times there's one piece left on the dish in the refrigerator. Nobody either wants to take it or they're not sure if they should save it for somebody else. So what are we going to do with it? Well, let's transform it so everybody can have some. What I'd like to do is take this pumpkin pie, and I've got some vanilla pudding in this bowl. We're going to put not the crust, but just the inside. Excuse me while I get this crust part out of here. We're going to take the inside of this pumpkin and we're going to put it in this vanilla pudding. And we're going to make a completely different dessert out of it. Now you'll notice I have Ready Whip here. I'm not the biggest fan of Cool Whip. And the reason for that is because it's a lot of hydrogenated oil. And hydrogenated fats are those man-made fats for the most part that can clog our arteries better than some of the saturated fats. So I like to use just one little squirt of Ready Whip on it, put a cherry on the top, and it looks absolutely great. These little whisks come really in handy for small things like this. Okay, so now you've got a pumpkin vanilla pudding, and I'm sorry I forgot the cherries. Shake up a little bit of Ready Whip. You don't need a boatload of this. Remember when you were a kid, you squirted it in your mouth? We're not going to do that. We're just going to put a little dollop on top. If you put a maraschino cherry on top of that, nobody will know it's leftover pumpkin pie. Nobody wanted to eat. All right, how about some facts about pumpkin? Well, did you know there are 45 varieties of pumpkin? And it's the small, sweet pumpkins. If you are the kind of person who has the time and you want to make your own pumpkin pie with fresh pumpkin, buy the small, sweet ones. The big ones that we make jack-o'-lanterns out of, they don't make the best pie. So you want to use those small, sweet ones. The average pumpkin has 500 seeds in it. So just think, you buy pumpkin seeds in a package. When you scoop out that pumpkin, why not pull that apart, dry those seeds, put them in the oven, bake them? You can add a little bit of anything to them. You want to make them hot, just add a tad of cayenne pepper to some brown sugar and toss them in that. If not, you could just toast them as is. If you like, you can sprinkle a little salt on them while you're toasting them, but be very careful. If you have a cardiac problem, if you have salt sensitivity, you know, that means your blood pressure rises when you eat salt, then you want to be careful of those things. So a little bit of brown sugar with a cayenne pepper gives it a little bit of a kick. An average pumpkin takes anywhere from 90 to 120 days to grow. And it's amazing because you see some of those pumpkins they show in the paper, 2,000 some hundred pounds. Really, really amazing how they get those things to grow. 80% of the pumpkin crop that we have is bought in the month of October. And what does that say? That says we're using them for jack-o'-lanterns and we're using them for pumpkin pie. And all pumpkins are a fruit. Why? Because the seeds are on the inside. So when we look at it, it's not sweet like regular fruit is, but it is from the fruit family. What do we do with it? We add pudding to it. We make it into a pie. We make it into custards. And we can also just serve cooked pumpkin. And we can do that with a little bit of brown sugar or just a little bit of margarine or something to make it taste even better. I hope you've enjoyed this video about what do I do with my leftovers from Thanksgiving. I will have all the recipes. I will give them to Joe. He'll get them on the email so everyone can print them off for themselves. One of the sets of recipes will come from the U.S. Department of Foods, and it's from their SNAP education. It's a whole layout of a Thanksgiving meal. So if you're the one that's going to be cooking at home this Thanksgiving, please avail yourself of some of those recipes. The rest of the recipes that I talked about, I will have printed out and Joe will have them online for you. I thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope you've learned something, and I hope I've contributed to making your leftovers from Thanksgiving a little better and a little healthier. Bye now.